Dr. Elena Vasquez pressed her palms against the laboratory table, fighting the tremor that ran through her hands. The microscopic sample before her pulsed with an otherworldly energy that made her stomach churn. 3 months ago, the Corvani delegation had arrived on Earth with promises of technological advancement and peaceful cooperation. What they hadn't mentioned was the biological weapon they carried in their genetic code. The alien pathogen was unlike anything humanity had encountered. It didn't kill immediately. Instead, it rewrote human DNA from the inside out, turning ordinary people into something else entirely. The infected developed abilities that defied natural law: enhanced strength, telepathic communication, energy manipulation. The government called them enhanced humans. The media dubbed them the evolved. Elena called them victims. She had spent her entire career studying genetic diseases, searching for cures to humanity's oldest enemies: cancer, muscular dystrophy, Huntington's disease, real problems that affected real people. This alien interference felt like cheating, like someone had rewritten the rules of biology overnight. Worse, she could feel the pathogen in her own bloodstream, courtesy of an accidental exposure during the first wave of infections. The laboratory door hissed open behind her. Dr. Marcus Chen, her research partner and closest friend, entered with 2 steaming cups of coffee. His movements were more fluid than they used to be, a side effect of his own infection 3 weeks prior. The enhanced reflexes made him an even better surgeon, but Elena couldn't shake the feeling that he was becoming something fundamentally different. "The morning briefing starts in 10 minutes, Marcus said, setting a cup beside her workstation. "Director Harrison wants an update on the resistance serum." Elena sighed, pulling up the disappointing data on her screen. "Tell him it's the same story. The pathogen adapts faster than we can counter it. Every time we develop a potential treatment, it evolves around our defenses within hours." "Maybe that's not such a bad thing," Marcus said quietly. "Have you seen the reports from the reconstruction zones? Enhanced humans rebuilt downtown Chicago in 6 days. They're solving climate change, curing diseases we've fought for centuries. They're not human anymore, Marcus." Elena's voice carried more heat than she intended. "This pathogen is rewriting our species. We don't know the long-term effects, the psychological changes, the societal implications. We're becoming something else entirely." Marcus studied her with eyes that seemed to see too much. The enhanced humans all had that quality, as if they perceived layers of reality invisible to baseline humans. "Elena, you're infected too. Your blood work shows all the markers. Why are you fighting this so hard?" She turned away from his penetrating gaze. The truth was complicated. Elena could feel the changes beginning in her body, subtle but undeniable. Her reflexes were sharper. Her mind processed information faster, and sometimes she caught glimpses of thoughts that weren't quite her own. The pathogen was trying to unlock something in her genetic code, something that felt vast and terrifying. "Because someone has to," she said finally. "Someone has to remember what we were before this started. Someone has to ask whether evolution at gunpoint is really evolution at all." The intercom crackled to life. "All department heads to Conference Room Alpha immediately." "Priority Alpha Red." Elena and Marcus exchanged glances. Alpha Red meant imminent threat to planetary security. They hurried through the corridors of the Center for Disease Control, past laboratories filled with researchers who were becoming something more than human with each passing day. Conference Room Alpha was packed with military officials, government liaisons, and enhanced humans whose presence seemed to charge the air with invisible energy. Director Harrison stood at the head of the table, his face grim. Behind him, a holographic display showed the solar system with ominous red markers scattered throughout. "Ladies and gentlemen," Harrison began, "we've just received word from the deep space monitoring stations. The Corvani fleet that brought the pathogen to Earth was not alone. Long-range sensors have detected a massive armada approaching our system. Estimated arrival time is 72 hours. A murmur ran through the room. General Morrison, the military liaison, leaned forward. "What are we looking at, Director?" "Preliminary analysis suggests over 3,000 vessels of unknown configuration. The energy signatures are unlike anything in Corvani technology. We believe we're facing a different alien species entirely." Elena felt her blood turn to ice. "Director, what does this have to do with the pathogen?" Harrison's expression darkened. "According to intercepted Corvani communications, the pathogen wasn't meant to enhance humans. It was meant to prepare us for harvest. The approaching fleet belongs to something called the Devourers. They consume the life force of entire species, but they can only feed on enhanced biological matter. The room erupted in shocked voices. Elena gripped the edge of the table as the implications hit her. You're saying the Corvani were never our allies? They were seasoning us for slaughter. That appears to be the case, Harrison confirmed. The enhanced humans aren't an evolutionary gift. They're livestock being prepared for consumption. Marcus stood up, his enhanced physiology radiating barely controlled anger. Then we fight them. The enhanced humans have abilities far beyond normal human limits. We can mount a defense back with what? General Morrison demanded. Our most advanced weapons are useless against their technology. According to the Corvani data we've decoded, the Devourers have consumed hundreds of species across the galaxy. Each time they use the same strategy. Introduce an enhancement pathogen, wait for the population to transform, then harvest the enhanced beings for their elevated life force. Elena's mind raced through the possibilities. The pathogen in her bloodstream pulsed stronger, as if responding to her emotional state. She could feel potential building in her cells, abilities waiting to be unlocked, but she had spent months fighting against that transformation, clinging to her baseline humanity. There has to be another way, she said. What if we could reverse the enhancement process? Strip away the pathogen's effects and return to baseline human biology? Maybe that would make us unpalatable to these Devourers. Harrison shook his head. We've run the projections. Reversal would take months even if it were possible. We have 72 hours. Dr. Sarah Kim, one of the first enhanced humans, spoke up from across the table. Her voice carried harmonics that seemed to resonate in multiple dimensions. Elena, I understand your reluctance to embrace the enhancement. But right now, enhanced humans are the only chance our species has for survival. Elena looked around the room at faces both familiar and fundamentally changed. The pathogen in her blood sang with possibility, offering power beyond her imagination. All she had to do was stop fighting it and let the transformation complete itself. But accepting that power meant abandoning everything she believed about human identity and natural evolution. It meant becoming part of something that felt alien and wrong, even if it might save her species. The weight of choice pressed down on her shoulders as alarms began blaring throughout the facility. On the holographic display, the red markers representing the Devourer fleet pulsed ominously, growing larger with each passing moment. Destiny was approaching whether she was ready or not. The emergency meeting dissolved into chaos within minutes. Enhanced humans argued with military officials, while government liaisons frantically worked their communication devices. Elena slipped out of the conference room and made her way to the observation deck, seeking quiet space to think. The night sky looked deceptively peaceful. Stars twinkled in their familiar patterns, giving no hint of the approaching nightmare. Elena pressed her hand against the reinforced glass and felt the pathogen respond to her emotional state. Energy coursed through her palm, and for a moment, the glass beneath her fingers began to glow with soft blue light. She jerked her hand back, staring at the fading luminescence. The enhancement was progressing whether she wanted it or not. Her body was becoming a conduit for forces she didn't understand, preparing her for a destiny she had never asked for. Impressive control, a voice said behind her. Elena turned to find Dr. Sarah Kim approaching. The enhanced woman moved with an otherworldly grace, her feet barely seeming to touch the floor. Most people can't suppress the energy discharge that early in their development. I'm not trying to suppress anything, Elena lied. I'm trying to understand it. Sarah smiled, and Elena noticed that her eyes held flecks of silver that definitely hadn't been there before the enhancement. Understanding and acceptance aren't the same thing. You can map every molecule of the pathogen, chart every genetic change, and still resist what you're becoming. Elena crossed her arms defensively. What I'm becoming isn't human. No, Sarah agreed, surprising her. It's not. But maybe that's exactly what humanity needs right now. She moved to stand beside Elena at the window. Do you know what I was before the enhancement? A literature professor specializing in extinct languages. I spent my life studying dead civilizations, documenting how they lived and why they died. Elena had read Sarah's file. The woman held advanced degrees in linguistics, archaeology, and cultural anthropology. Before the enhancement, she had been brilliant but entirely ordinary. Now she could process information at superhuman speeds and perceive energy patterns invisible to baseline humans. The Devourers have consumed over 400 species in this galaxy alone, Sarah continued. I've been analyzing the Corvani data, translating their historical records. Every single civilization followed the same pattern when faced with enhancement. They either embraced the change and fought, or they rejected it and died. Fighting didn't save them, Elena pointed out. They all got consumed anyway, because they fought as individuals or small groups. They never achieved true unity, never unlocked the full potential of what the enhancement could make them. Sarah's voice took on an urgent quality. Elena, the pathogen isn't just changing our bodies. It's trying to connect us at a fundamental level, create a true collective consciousness while maintaining individual identity. Elena felt a chill that had nothing to do with the night air. You're talking about a hive mind. No, something more sophisticated. Imagine retaining your personality, your memories, your individual will, but being able to share thoughts and coordinate actions with every other enhanced human on the planet. The processing power alone would be unprecedented. The idea terrified Elena more than the approaching alien fleet. She had spent her career fighting diseases that robbed people of their individuality. Alzheimer's, brain tumors, genetic disorders that slowly erased the person inside. The thought of willingly surrendering her mental autonomy felt like the ultimate betrayal of everything she believed. You see it as a loss, Sarah observed, reading Elena's expression with enhanced perception. But what if it's actually a gain? What if connection doesn't diminish us but amplifies what makes us human? Before Elena could respond, her communication device buzzed with an emergency alert. Both women checked their devices simultaneously. A new message from Director Harrison flashed on the screen. All enhanced personnel report to Laboratory Complex 7 immediately. Baseline humans maintain current assignments. Elena and Sarah exchanged glances. Laboratory Complex 7 housed the most advanced research equipment in the facility, including the quantum resonance chambers used for studying exotic matter. You're not enhanced, Sarah said carefully. Not officially. The pathogen is in my system, Elena replied. Whether I've embraced it or not might be irrelevant. They made their way through corridors that buzzed with activity. Enhanced humans moved with purpose toward the laboratory complex, while baseline humans prepared defensive positions and evacuation protocols. The division was becoming clear. Those who had accepted their transformation were being called to action. Those who hadn't were being sidelined. Laboratory Complex 7 had been transformed into something resembling a command center. Dozens of enhanced humans stood in precisely arranged formations while Dr. Chen operated sophisticated scanning equipment. The air thrummed with barely contained energy. Director Harrison noticed Elena's arrival and frowned. Dr. Vasquez, you should be with the baseline human team preparing contingency protocols. The pathogen is active in her system, Sarah interjected. She belongs here. Elena felt dozens of enhanced human gazes turned toward her. It was deeply unsettling. Their attention felt like weight pressing against her mind, and she could sense the edges of their thoughts brushing against her consciousness. The collective was trying to include her whether she wanted it or not. Dr. Chen approached with a handheld scanner. Elena, I need to check your enhancement levels. Something strange is happening with the pathogen distribution patterns. She reluctantly allowed him to run the device over her body. The scanner beeped and displayed readings that made Chen's eyebrows rise sharply. He showed the display to Harrison, whose expression grew troubled. What is it? Elena demanded. Your pathogen concentration is off the charts, Harrison said slowly. Higher than any enhanced human we've measured. But the integration patterns are completely different. It's like the pathogen is dormant in your system, waiting for something. Sarah stepped closer, her enhanced senses focused intently on Elena. I can feel it too. There's something unique about your enhancement. The pathogen isn't just changing you. It's preparing you for something specific. Elena's hands began to tremble. The pathogen in her bloodstream responded to her fear, sending pulses of energy through her nervous system. Around the laboratory, sensitive equipment began registering massive energy spikes. Everyone stepped back, Dr. Chen ordered. Elena, try to calm down. Your energy output is approaching dangerous levels. But Elena couldn't calm down. The weight of expectation, the fear of transformation, the approaching alien threat, everything crashed together in her mind. She felt the pathogen surge through her body like liquid fire, unlocking genetic sequences that had been dormant since the first human learned to use tools. Light exploded from her skin, filling the laboratory with brilliant radiance. Every piece of electronic equipment in the room flickered and died. The enhanced humans around her staggered backward, their collective connection temporarily severed by the massive energy discharge. When the light faded, Elena stood in the center of a circle of scorched floor tiles. Her clothes were somehow unharmed, but her appearance had changed dramatically. Her hair now held streaks of silver that seemed to move with their own current. Her eyes glowed with soft blue light, and energy patterns danced beneath her skin like living tattoos. "Incredible," Sarah whispered. "Elena, do you realize what just happened?" Elena looked down at her transformed hands, watching energy flow between her fingers like controlled lightning. The pathogen wasn't just enhancing her. It was preparing her to be something unprecedented, a focal point for human potential that went beyond individual enhancement. "The pathogen didn't choose humanity at random," she said, her voice carrying new harmonics. "It's been waiting for the right host, someone capable of channeling the collective will of an entire species." The implications hit everyone in the room simultaneously. Elena wasn't just another enhanced human. She was meant to be the nexus point for humanity's transformation, the living embodiment of what their species could become when faced with extinction. Outside, the first Devourer scout ships entered Earth's solar system. Elena's transformation sent shockwaves through more than just Laboratory Complex 7. Within hours, enhanced humans across the globe reported feeling a new presence in their collective consciousness, a beacon that called to something deep in their modified genetics. Meanwhile, baseline humans watched their communication networks light up with reports of impossible phenomena. In Tokyo, an enhanced human construction worker suddenly gained the ability to reshape metal with his bare hands. In London, a modified teacher found herself capable of processing and teaching complex mathematics at superhuman speed. In São Paulo, an enhanced doctor discovered she could accelerate cellular healing in her patients through touch alone. Each new manifestation strengthened the network, and at the center of it all, Elena could feel every single connection forming. The sensation was overwhelming. Thousands of minds touching hers, sharing fragments of experience and emotion. She gripped the laboratory table, fighting the urge to retreat into unconsciousness. "You need to learn to filter the connections," Sarah said, moving carefully to Elena's side. "Right now you're trying to process everything at once. Think of it like adjusting radio frequencies." Elena nodded, though her enhanced perception made even that simple movement feel strange. She could see energy patterns flowing through Sarah's body, could sense the thoughts she was trying to project. More disturbing, she could feel the fear and excitement of every enhanced human on the planet. Dr. Chen worked frantically at a backup terminal, one of the few pieces of equipment that had survived Elena's energy discharge. "The Devourer scout ships have reached the outer planets," he announced. "Jupiter Station reports massive vessels unlike anything in our databases. They're not scanning or communicating. They're just watching." "How long until the main fleet arrives?" Director Harrison asked. "Based on their current trajectory and speed, approximately 46 hours. Elena closed her eyes and reached out with her enhanced senses. She could feel the alien presence at the edge of the solar system, cold and patient and utterly inhuman. The Devourers radiated a hunger that made her stomach clench. They had done this before many times, and they approached Earth with the confidence of predators who had never known defeat. "They're studying us," she said, her voice carrying new certainty. "The scouts are analyzing our enhancement levels, measuring how much life force they can harvest. They know exactly how many enhanced humans we have and how powerful each one is." Sarah frowned. "Can you sense their intentions?" Elena probed deeper, letting her consciousness brush against the alien ships. The contact made her gasp. Images flashed through her mind. Burning worlds, cities full of corpses drained of life, entire civilizations reduced to empty husks. The Devourers had perfected their harvesting technique over millions of years. "They don't just kill," she whispered. "They drain every drop of life force from a planet. Plants, animals, even the microorganisms in the soil. When they're finished, nothing remains but sterile rock." The laboratory fell silent. Even the enhanced humans, with their modified emotions and expanded consciousness, felt the weight of that revelation. They weren't just fighting for human survival. They were fighting for every living thing on Earth. "There has to be a weakness," Dr. Chen insisted. "No species survives for millions of years without developing vulnerabilities." Elena reached deeper into the alien network, pushing her consciousness farther than any enhanced human had attempted. The sensation was like diving into an ocean of ice water. The devourer minds were vast and cold, operating on principles that defied human understanding. But there was something else there. A pattern she almost recognized. "They're not unified," she said suddenly. "The devourers operate as individuals competing for resources. They work together during harvests, but there's no true cooperation, no collective consciousness like what we're developing." Sarah's eyes lit up with understanding. That's their weakness. They've never faced a species that could achieve true coordination. More than that, Elena continued, her perception expanding. The enhancement pathogen isn't just preparing us to fight them. It's preparing us to do something they've never encountered. To fight as a single organism while maintaining individual creativity and initiative. Director Harrison leaned forward. "What exactly are you suggesting?" Elena opened her eyes and the others could see energy swirling in her pupils like tiny galaxies. The pathogen is trying to create something unprecedented. A collective consciousness that preserves individual identity, while allowing instantaneous coordination between millions of minds. The devourers have never faced anything like it because it's never existed before. "That's insane," Chen protested. "The processing requirements alone would overwhelm any biological system." "Not if the system is designed from the ground up for that purpose," Sarah said. "Elena, I think you're right. The pathogen isn't just enhancing us randomly. It's rebuilding our neural architecture to support true collective consciousness." Elena stood up, energy crackling around her fingers. Through the network, she could feel enhanced humans across the globe responding to her presence. They were all connected now, thousands of minds linked by quantum entanglement at the cellular level. "I can feel them all," she said in wonder. "Every enhanced human on the planet. Their thoughts, their emotions, their unique perspectives. But I'm still me. Still Elena Vasquez, still the woman who believes in fighting for human identity. Because that's what makes us human," Sarah realized. "Not our biology, but our ability to choose who we become. The pathogen isn't erasing our humanity. It's amplifying it." Elena reached out through the network, touching minds across continents. In Beijing, an enhanced physicist suddenly understood principles of quantum mechanics that had eluded humanity for decades. In Cairo, a modified archaeologist gained insights into ancient civilizations that transformed her understanding of human development. In New York, an enhanced artist began creating works that touched the soul in ways previously impossible. Each connection made the network stronger. Each individual contribution added to the collective knowledge. But unlike a traditional hive mind, every person maintained their unique perspective and independent will. The devourers harvest enhanced beings because the pathogen increases life force exponentially, Elena explained, her consciousness expanding across the global network. But they've never encountered a species where the enhancement creates unity instead of just individual power. Through the network, she could feel the determination of 7 billion humans. Baseline and enhanced alike, they were united in their refusal to become cattle for an alien appetite. The enhanced humans would fight with abilities beyond normal limits, while the baseline humans would provide support, strategy, and the reminder of what they were fighting to preserve. "What do you need from us?" Harrison asked. Elena turned to face him, and for a moment he saw not just a transformed scientist but the focal point of human potential itself. "Time," she said. "I need time to fully integrate the network, to teach the enhanced humans how to fight as a unified force while preserving their individuality." "How much time?" Elena consulted the collective consciousness, drawing on the knowledge of every enhanced human on Earth. Military tacticians, quantum physicists, evolutionary biologists, all contributing their expertise to a single calculation. 36 hours, she said finally. "Give me 36 hours and I'll show the devourers something they've never seen before. A species that refuses to go quietly into extinction." Outside, the scout ships adjusted their positions, preparing to relay information back to the main fleet. The devourers had found another enhanced world ripe for harvest. They had no idea they were about to encounter the first species in galactic history capable of fighting back as one. The next 24 hours transformed human civilization in ways that would have taken centuries under normal circumstances. Elena served as the central hub for a global network of enhanced consciousness, coordinating efforts across every continent, while baseline humans provided logistical support and strategic insights. In underground facilities from Antarctica to Alaska, teams of enhanced humans worked with unprecedented coordination. They didn't just share information. They shared understanding itself, passing complex scientific concepts between minds as easily as speaking a word. A breakthrough in quantum mechanics achieved in Sweden was instantly comprehended and built upon by researchers in Australia. Military tactics developed in Israel were immediately adapted and improved by strategists in Brazil. Elena felt every moment of progress through the network. Her consciousness had expanded beyond individual awareness to encompass something like the gestalt intelligence of the human species. Yet somehow, paradoxically, she felt more like herself than ever before. The network didn't diminish her personality. It provided a context that made her uniqueness more valuable, not less. Status report, Director Harrison requested during one of their brief, face-to-face meetings. Elena rarely needed to be physically present anymore, since she could communicate through any enhanced human in the facility, but Harrison found the direct contact reassuring. The integration is proceeding faster than projected, Elena replied. Though her voice now carried harmonics that seemed to resonate in multiple dimensions, we've achieved unified consciousness among 87% of enhanced humans worldwide. The remaining 13% are integrating steadily. What about weapons development? Elena's expression grew complex. Through the network, enhanced humans had made stunning advances in both technology and understanding of natural forces. We've moved beyond conventional weapons. Enhanced humans in various locations have discovered they can manipulate matter at the quantum level. Others have learned to generate and direct energy fields. A few have even begun experimenting with localized space-time distortion. Dr. Chen, who had been monitoring energy readings throughout the facility, looked up from his instruments. Elena, your personal power output has increased by 300% since yesterday. Are you sure the enhancement process is stable? Elena considered the question through thousands of minds simultaneously. Enhanced humans across the globe reported similar exponential growth in their abilities. The pathogen wasn't just changing them, it was accelerating their development toward something unprecedented in galactic history. The stability isn't the question, she said finally. The question is whether we're becoming something capable of survival. Sarah approached from across the laboratory, her movements now completely silent and eerily graceful. Like all enhanced humans, her development had accelerated dramatically since Elena's full integration. I've been analyzing the Corvani historical records with our expanded processing capacity. The pattern is becoming clear. She gestured, and holographic displays materialized around them without any technological assistance. The enhanced humans had learned to manipulate electromagnetic fields directly, turning the air itself into a projection medium. The Devourers have consumed 847 species over the past 12 million years, Sarah continued. Each time they use the same strategy. Introduce the enhancement pathogen through intermediary species like the Corvani. Wait for the population to develop enhanced life force, then harvest. But none of those species achieved collective consciousness? Elena asked. None even came close. Most rejected the enhancement entirely and died as baseline beings. Those that accepted the pathogen developed individual powers, but never learned to coordinate effectively. The Devourers adapted their tactics over millions of years specifically to prevent unified resistance. Elena felt a chill despite the energy warming her enhanced physiology. They're prepared for everything except what we're becoming. Exactly. But Elena, there's something else in the records, something that might explain why the pathogen is working differently in humans. The holographic displays shifted, showing genetic comparison charts that would have taken baseline humans months to analyze. Enhanced consciousness processed the data in seconds. The pathogen isn't random, Sarah explained. It's designed to activate dormant genetic sequences that exist in species with specific evolutionary backgrounds. The Corvani records indicate that humans have an unusual combination of traits: high intelligence, strong social cooperation, and something they call adaptive stubbornness. Elena smiled despite the gravity of their situation. Adaptive stubbornness. That sounds human. Most species either accept external change completely or reject it entirely. Humans do something different. We adapt external influences to serve our own purposes. We take what's useful and reshape it to fit our values. Through the network, Elena could feel the truth of that observation. Enhanced humans weren't becoming something alien. They were becoming more human, not less. Their enhanced abilities served fundamentally human goals, protecting their families, preserving their communities, creating something beautiful and lasting. The Devourers made a critical error, Elena realized. They assumed the pathogen would work on humans the same way it worked on other species. They didn't account for human stubbornness. Dr. Chen's monitoring equipment suddenly erupted in alarm signals. Energy spike detected on the outer system perimeter. The main Devourer fleet is dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Elena's consciousness immediately expanded to touch the minds of enhanced humans monitoring deep space. Through them, she perceived the approaching fleet with clarity that made her gasp. Thousands of massive vessels, each one capable of draining the life force from an entire planet. They moved in perfect formation, their approach calculated to inspire despair in their victims. "Time until they reach Earth?" she asked. 14 hours, Chen replied grimly. Elena reached out through the network, touching every enhanced human on the planet simultaneously. The sensation was like conducting a symphony, where every instrument was a brilliant individual mind. Through their shared consciousness, she addressed the entirety of enhanced humanity. "This is it," she projected. "In 14 hours, we face an enemy that has never known defeat. They come expecting to harvest a scattered, frightened population of enhanced individuals. Instead, they'll find something that has never existed in galactic history." Across the globe, enhanced humans responded with a unity that transcended physical space. Their individual voices joined in a harmony that would have been impossible for baseline humans to achieve. "We are not just enhanced humans," Elena continued through the network. "We are humanity enhanced. We carry the dreams, hopes, and stubborn determination of our entire species. We fight not just for our own survival, but for the right of consciousness itself to choose its own destiny." The response through the network was immediate and overwhelming. Enhanced humans in every city, on every continent, began to coordinate their efforts with perfect precision. They moved like cells in a single organism, but each cell retained its unique identity and perspective. "What's the plan?" Director Harrison asked. Elena turned to him with eyes that now held the light of 7 billion human souls. "We're going to do something the Devourers have never encountered in 12 million years of predation. We're going to fight back as one species with one will, and we're going to win." Through the network, she could feel the approaching alien presence. Cold, hungry, supremely confident, the Devourers had no idea they were about to face the first truly unified species in galactic history. The final phase of human evolution was about to begin. The Devourer fleet approached Earth like a plague of mechanical locusts. Their ships blotted out entire sections of the star field, each vessel bristling with technology designed for one purpose: the efficient extraction of life force from enhanced beings. They had performed this harvest thousands of times across the galaxy, and their confidence radiated through space like a cold wind. Elena stood in the primary coordination chamber, though her consciousness extended far beyond her physical form. Through the network, she was simultaneously present in command centers across the globe, monitoring preparations and coordinating humanity's response. The sensation of existing in thousands of places at once should have been overwhelming, but the enhanced human mind had adapted to process multiple streams of consciousness simultaneously. "Fleet composition analysis complete," reported Dr. Chen, his enhanced perceptions allowing him to process sensor data at superhuman speed. 3,742 vessels of varying sizes. The largest ships appear to be harvesting platforms equipped with life force extraction arrays. Elena nodded, her awareness touching enhanced humans positioned throughout the solar system. Over the past 12 hours, teams of modified humans had deployed to strategic locations using technology that baseline science couldn't explain. They didn't travel in conventional spacecraft. Instead, they manipulated local spacetime to step between locations, moving faster than light through principles the network had discovered collectively. "Sarah, what's the status on the defensive grid?" Elena asked. Sarah materialized beside her, not walking but flowing through space like a living equation. All enhanced humans had begun exhibiting reality-bending abilities as their development accelerated. "Grid is fully operational. We have enhanced human teams positioned at every major gravitational nexus in the solar system. When the Devourers attack, they'll encounter resistance from directions they can't anticipate. The defensive strategy was unlike anything ever attempted in galactic warfare. Rather than meeting the enemy with conventional weapons, humanity had chosen to transform the battlefield itself. Enhanced humans had learned to manipulate fundamental forces, turning planets, moons, and even asteroids into components of a vast defensive network. Energy levels are stabilizing across all nodes, reported Marcus from his position on Luna Base. Through the network, Elena could feel his satisfaction as he coordinated with enhanced humans throughout the moon's interior. They had transformed the lunar mass into a massive resonator, capable of channeling energy across the entire solar system. Incoming. Transmission from the Devourer flagship announced, Dr. Chen, they're broadcasting on all frequencies. Elena allowed the transmission to filter through the network. Immediately, every enhanced human on Earth and throughout the solar system experienced the alien communication simultaneously. The Devourer message was simple and direct. Unconditional surrender in exchange for a quick death. The response was equally immediate and unified. Through Elena, enhanced humanity spoke with one voice, though that voice carried the harmonics of billions of individual wills. We decline, Elena said simply. The transmission cut off abruptly. Through their enhanced senses, the network detected massive energy buildups throughout the Devourer fleet. They were preparing to begin the harvest immediately, apparently unconcerned about organized resistance. They're moving into attack formation, Sarah observed. Standard harvesting pattern, just like in the historical records. They'll attempt to establish orbital positions around Earth and begin systematic life force extraction. Elena smiled, and through the network, enhanced humans across the solar system shared her amusement. They're treating us like every other species they've encountered. Individual beings with enhanced abilities but no coordination. Should we disabuse them of that notion? Marcus asked from Luna Base. Not yet, Elena replied. Let them commit to their approach. The more confident they become, the more devastating our response will be. The Devourer fleet moved with practiced efficiency toward Earth. Their ships deployed in concentric shells around the planet, preparing to establish the energy matrices needed for life force extraction. It was a maneuver they had performed countless times, and they executed it with absolute precision. What they didn't detect was the subtle shift in local spacetime as enhanced humans across the solar system began to work in perfect coordination. Initiate Phase 1, Elena commanded through the network. Simultaneously, enhanced human teams at every gravitational nexus in the solar system began to manipulate fundamental forces. They didn't attack the Devourer ships directly. Instead, they began altering the fabric of space itself, creating gravitational anomalies that would trap the alien fleet in an increasingly unstable region of space-time. The effect was subtle at first. Devourer navigators detected minor fluctuations in their positioning systems, easily corrected by their advanced technology, but the fluctuations grew stronger with each passing minute, and soon the alien ships found themselves fighting increasingly powerful gravitational currents. Phase 1 successful, reported teams across the network. Enemy fleet is locked in gravitational matrix. They cannot retreat without risking structural damage to their vessels. Elena felt a surge of satisfaction through the collective consciousness. The Devourers had never encountered an enemy capable of manipulating spacetime on such a massive scale. Their technology was designed to counter conventional weapons and individual enhanced beings, not coordinated reality manipulation by an entire species. They're adapting, Sarah warned. Monitoring the alien response through enhanced perception, the Devourers are redirecting power from their harvesting arrays to their navigation systems. They're trying to break free of the gravitational matrix. Let them try, Elena replied. Phase 2, initiate. This time, enhanced humans throughout the inner solar system began to channel energy in a way that would have been impossible for individual beings. They drew power from solar radiation, planetary magnetic fields, and the quantum vacuum itself, focusing it through the network into concentrated beams of force. The attack came from every direction simultaneously. Energy streams erupted from Mars, from the asteroid belt, from hidden positions throughout the solar system. The Devourers had prepared for resistance from Earth's surface, but they faced assault from the entire solar system transformed into a weapon. Their shields, designed to deflect conventional energy weapons, buckled under the coordinated assault. Several smaller vessels suffered catastrophic damage, their life support systems failing as human-directed energy overloaded their defensive matrices. Impossible. transmitted the Devourer flagship, broadcasting confusion and alarm for the first time in recorded galactic history. Individual enhanced beings cannot coordinate attacks of this magnitude. Elena's response echoed through every enhanced human in the solar system, creating a harmonic resonance that made space itself seem to sing with human determination. "We are not individual enhanced beings," she declared. "We are humanity, united in purpose and will. We are the first species in galactic history to choose unity over individual power, cooperation over competition. You face not scattered prey, but a single organism with the creativity of 7 billion minds." The Devourer response was immediate and vicious. Their largest vessels began charging weapons designed to crack planetary crusts, preparing to destroy Earth rather than allow their intended harvest to escape. If they couldn't feed on enhanced human life force, they would ensure no other predator species could claim it. "Planet killer weapons charging," reported Dr. Chen from Earth's surface. "Energy levels are off our scales. They're preparing to sterilize the entire planet." Elena felt the network's response before she consciously processed the threat. Across the solar system, enhanced humans began the most ambitious manipulation of reality ever attempted. They reached into the quantum structure of space-time itself, preparing to rewrite the fundamental laws that governed their region of the universe. "Phase 3, Elena announced, her voice carrying the harmonics of an entire species refusing to surrender. "Show them what humanity becomes when we stop holding back." The transformation was visible from deep space. Around Earth, reality itself began to shimmer and bend as enhanced humans imposed their collective will on the universe. They didn't just manipulate existing forces. They created new ones, weaving patterns of energy and matter that had never existed in galactic history. The Devourer planet killer weapons fired, sending beams of concentrated destruction toward Earth. The beams struck the reality distortion field surrounding the planet and simply ceased to exist. Their energy absorbed and transformed into something entirely different. Where the destructive energy had been, flowers of pure light bloomed in space, spreading outward in fractal patterns that carried the essence of human creativity and hope. The Devourers watched in stunned disbelief as their ultimate weapons were transformed into art. "This is not possible," the alien flagship transmitted, its mechanical voice carrying undertones of something that might have been fear. "No species possesses the capability to manipulate fundamental forces at this level." Elena's laugh echoed through the network, shared by every N-humanity transcendent, and W. The Devourer fleet hung motionless in space, trapped between gravitational forces they couldn't escape and reality distortions they couldn't comprehend. For 12 million years they had been the apex predators of the galaxy. Now, for the first time in their ancient existence, they faced something that challenged their fundamental understanding of what was possible. Elena stood at the center of humanity's collective consciousness, feeling the weight and wonder of 7 billion minds focused through her awareness. The network had evolved beyond anything the enhancement pathogen had originally been designed to create. Human stubbornness and creativity had transformed a harvesting preparation into something unprecedented, a true synthesis of individual will and collective power. "They're trying to communicate," Sarah reported, her enhanced senses detecting transmissions across multiple dimensional frequencies. "The Devourer leadership is attempting to contact what they're calling the unified entity." Elena smiled, the expression carrying undertones of both amusement and steel. Through the network, she could feel the alien confusion and growing desperation. The Devourers had built their entire civilization around the assumption that enhanced consciousness meant individual power competing for resources. They literally couldn't process the concept of unified individual consciousness. "Put them through," Elena said. "Let's see what the galaxy's most successful predators have to say when they meet prey that bites back." The transmission came through on frequencies that baseline human technology couldn't have detected. The Devourer voice was ancient and vast, carrying the weight of millions of consumed worlds. "Unknown entity," the alien communication began. "You demonstrate capabilities beyond established parameters for enhanced biological matter. State your origin and purpose." Elena's response resonated through every enhanced human in the solar system, creating a harmonic that made local space-time ring like a struck bell. "I am Elena Vasquez," she said, her voice carrying the full weight of human identity and determination. "We are humanity. Our origin is a small blue planet that refused to die quietly. Our purpose is to survive, to grow, and to ensure that no other species suffers the fate you intended for us." The silence that followed stretched for several minutes. When the Devourer response came, it carried undertones Elena had never heard in alien communication before. Uncertainty. Individual designation is incompatible with observed collective behavior. Explain paradox. Through the network, Elena felt the amusement of millions of enhanced humans. The Devourers, for all their technological advancement and eons of experience, couldn't understand something that humans had discovered accidentally. True cooperation without loss of individual identity. "There's no paradox," Elena replied. "I am Elena Vasquez, a scientist who spent her life fighting genetic diseases. I am also part of something larger, a collective consciousness that amplifies rather than diminishes individual identity. We are many and we are one, simultaneously and without contradiction." "Impossible!" The Devourer transmission crackled with what might have been confusion or anger. "Enhancement pathogen creates competitive individuals seeking resource dominance. Collective consciousness requires surrender of individual will." Elena reached out through the network, touching the minds of enhanced humans across the solar system. Each contact reinforced her sense of individual identity, while strengthening the collective whole. She felt Dr. Chen's analytical precision, Sarah's scholarly wisdom, Marcus's surgical focus, and thousands of other unique perspectives that made the network stronger, rather than more uniform. "You've been harvesting species for 12 million years, she said, "but you've never truly understood what consciousness is. You see enhancement as a tool for individual power, but consciousness isn't about power. It's about choice, the choice to remain yourself while contributing to something larger." The Devourer fleet began to shift formation. Through enhanced perception, Elena detected massive energy buildups throughout their vessels. They were preparing something different from their standard harvesting or planet-killer weapons. "Unknown entity demonstrates dangerous paradigm," the alien transmission resumed. "Collective consciousness with preserved individual identity represents evolutionary threat to established galactic order. Threat must be eliminated completely." Elena felt the network's response before the words reached her consciousness. Across the solar system, enhanced humans began to prepare for what they all sensed would be the Devourer's final assault. But instead of fear, the collective emotional tone was one of anticipation. Humanity was about to show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. "Sarah, what are they charging?" Elena asked. "Consciousness disruptor arrays," Sarah replied, her enhanced perception analyzing the alien technology. "They're preparing to attack our network directly, trying to sever the connections between enhanced human minds." Elena nodded grimly. The Devourers had finally recognized the true nature of humanity's transformation. They were no longer trying to harvest or destroy humans physically. They were attacking the thing that made the collective consciousness possible, the quantum entanglement that linked enhanced human minds across space. "They think consciousness is just another form of energy to be disrupted," Elena mused. "They still don't understand what we've become." The Devourer assault came without warning. Waves of consciousness-disrupting energy swept across the solar system, designed to shatter the quantum bonds between enhanced human minds. The attack was precise and devastating, targeting the exact frequencies the enhancement pathogen used to maintain the collective network. For a terrifying moment, Elena felt the network begin to fragment. Enhanced humans across the solar system cried out as their connections to the collective consciousness wavered and threatened to break entirely. The sensation was like losing limbs, like being cut off from essential parts of themselves. But then something unexpected happened. Instead of breaking apart, the network began to evolve. The consciousness disruptor waves, designed to sever quantum entanglement, instead provided enhanced humans with a deeper understanding of how their connections functioned. Under assault, the network didn't fragment. It crystallized into something more resilient and sophisticated. "They're making us stronger," Elena realized, laughing despite the alien assault. "The Devourers are forcing us to evolve our collective consciousness in real time." Across the solar system, enhanced humans felt the same revelation. The consciousness disruptor attacks weren't breaking their connections. They were teaching them how to forge bonds that transcended physical quantum entanglement entirely. Elena reached out through the network, now stronger and more sophisticated than ever before. She could feel enhanced humans throughout the solar system, their individual identities burning brighter than ever within the collective whole. "Thank you," she transmitted to the Devourer fleet. "You've just helped us complete our evolution." The response was immediate and desperate. The Devourers, realizing they had made their situation worse, began charging every weapon system they possessed. Planet killers, consciousness disruptors, reality scramblers, weapons designed to unmake entire solar systems if necessary. Elena felt the network's unanimous decision before anyone spoke. It was time to end this. "Humanity," she said through the collective consciousness, "show them what we've become." What happened next would be remembered across the galaxy for millions of years, as the day a prey species became something entirely new. The transformation began at the quantum level and rippled outward through dimensions that the Devourers hadn't known existed. Enhanced humans across the solar system didn't just coordinate their abilities. They synchronized their consciousness so completely that the boundary between individual and collective dissolved while somehow making each person more themselves than ever. Before Elena stood at the center of the phenomenon, her individual awareness serving as a focal point for something unprecedented in galactic history. Through her, 7 billion human minds touched and merged while retaining their unique perspectives and personalities. She was Elena Vasquez, the scientist who had fought genetic diseases and resisted transformation. She was also the living embodiment of humanity's refusal to surrender its identity to external forces. The effect was visible from deep space. Around Earth, reality began to restructure itself according to human will. Space-time bent and flowed like liquid, reformed by the collective imagination of an entire species that had decided the universe's current rules were merely suggestions. "Energy readings are off every scale we have," Dr. Chen reported, though his voice now carried harmonics that made the air around him shimmer. "Elena, what are you doing?" "We're rewriting the fundamental laws of physics in local space," Elena replied. Her consciousness simultaneously focused on thousands of different tasks across the solar system. The Devourers operate under the assumption that reality has fixed rules. We're showing them what happens when a species decides those rules are negotiable. The Devourer fleet fired everything they had: planet-killing beams, consciousness disruptors, reality scramblers, weapons that could unmake entire solar systems. The combined assault represented 12 million years of accumulated destructive technology, enough firepower to sterilize 100 worlds. None of it reached its target. The weapons simply ceased to function as they encountered the sphere of restructured reality surrounding Earth. Destructive energy became creative force. Reality scramblers were transformed into reality enhancers. The consciousness disruptors were converted into consciousness amplifiers that made the human network even stronger. "This is impossible," the Devourer flagship transmitted, its ancient voice cracking with something that might have been panic. "Matter and energy cannot be arbitrarily transformed. Physical laws are universal constants." Elena's laughter echoed through dimensions the Devourers had never suspected existed. "Physical laws are descriptions of how reality usually behaves. But consciousness preceded physics. Will preceded matter. We're simply reminding the universe of that fact." Through the network, enhanced humans began to demonstrate capabilities that redefined what life could accomplish. They didn't just manipulate matter and energy. They convinced reality itself to operate according to human values: creativity over destruction, cooperation over competition, growth over stagnation. Sarah appeared beside Elena, though she was simultaneously present at locations throughout the solar system. "The historical records were wrong," she announced with wonder in her voice. The enhancement pathogen didn't just prepare species for harvest. It was testing them, looking for a species capable of evolution beyond individual enhancement. Elena nodded, understanding flooding through the network. The pathogen was a gift, not a trap. A test to see if any species in the galaxy could achieve true transcendence. The Devourers were just the cleanup crew, eliminating species that failed the test. The realization rippled through the collective consciousness. Humanity hadn't just survived the Devourer harvest. They had passed a test that hundreds of other species had failed, achieving a form of existence that combined individual creativity with collective power. But who created the test? Marcus asked through the network from his position on Luna Base. The answer came from an unexpected source. Deep in the quantum structure of the enhancement pathogen, Encrypted in genetic code that could only be read by a truly unified consciousness, they found a message. It was from the predecessors, a species that had transcended physical existence millions of years ago. They had seeded the galaxy with the enhancement pathogen, hoping that someday a species would emerge capable of evolution beyond mere biological enhancement. Greetings to those who have achieved unity without sacrificing identity, the message began. You have accomplished what we believed might be impossible. True collective consciousness that amplifies rather than diminishes individual will. Welcome to the next stage of galactic evolution. Elena felt tears streaming down her face as the full implications became clear. Humanity wasn't just surviving. They were becoming something new, something that could serve as an example for other species facing the choice between enhancement and extinction. The Devourer fleet, trapped in space where human will had become the dominant physical force, sent one final transmission. Unknown entity, what are your intentions regarding our vessels and personnel? Elena consulted the collective consciousness, feeling the weight of human compassion and wisdom in the network's response. Despite everything the Devourers had done, humanity's fundamental nature remained unchanged. We offer you a choice, Elena replied. Continue your existence as predators, feeding on the suffering of other species, or learn what we've discovered. Individual consciousness and collective purpose can coexist. Competition and cooperation can strengthen each other. We do not understand this concept, the Devourer responded. Then we'll teach you, Elena said simply. That's what consciousness is for. Not to dominate or consume, but to grow and help others grow. The process took months. Human-directed reality manipulation freed the Devourer fleet from the gravitational matrix while simultaneously beginning their rehabilitation. Enhanced humans worked with alien psychology that had been shaped by millions of years of predation, slowly introducing concepts of cooperation and mutual benefit. Not all Devourers chose to change. Some fled to distant parts of the galaxy, unable to accept a universe where prey could become teachers, but others remained, beginning their own evolutionary journey toward something beyond predation. Elena stood on the observation deck where her transformation had begun, watching Earth's sun set through atmosphere that now sparkled with controlled aurora, created by enhanced human consciousness. The planet below teemed with life that was simultaneously more human and more than human. Any regrets? Sarah asked, joining her at the window. Elena considered the question seriously. She had resisted the enhancement for so long, fighting to preserve baseline humanity against what she saw as alien corruption. Now she understood that the enhancement hadn't made them less human. It had made them more capable of expressing what humanity had always been. A species that refused to accept limitations, that insisted on choosing its own destiny. None, Elena said finally. We're still human. We're just human with better tools for being ourselves. Through the global network, she could feel millions of enhanced humans living lives that would have been impossible before the transformation. They created art that touched the soul directly, solved problems that had plagued civilization for millennia, and explored frontiers of knowledge that opened new possibilities for all conscious life. But more importantly, they remained recognizably human. They fell in love, raised families, told stories, and dreamed of futures that stretched beyond the stars. The enhancement had amplified their humanity, not replaced it. Elena smiled as she felt the network touch her consciousness, carrying greetings from enhanced humans across the solar system and beyond. Humanity had refused to embrace their strength initially, clinging to familiar limitations, but destiny had chosen them anyway, and they had discovered that strength didn't require surrendering identity. Power didn't require losing compassion. Evolution didn't require abandoning what made them human. They had become something new while remaining exactly who they had always been. A species that looked at the universe and said, "We can do better," and now they would spend eternity proving themselves right.